What's up and welcome to episode 3 of Life with Football. I'm your host, Kyle Smith, Platform Sports League. This episode, I'm on the phone. I'm on a conversation with my brother, Tim Smith. Tim lives in Long Island, New York, where we grew up. Somehow in our conversation, basically we got into my recruiting story. So kind of the full-fledged story from starting in 11th grade and how throughout my whole process I ended up at Purdue University. I'm playing some Big Ten football. Crazy, unexpected. I'm glad that we finally got it recorded, and I am basically taking advantage of the fact that I don't have any guests on the podcast yet. Might as well get my story out there, give you some context on where I'm coming from, and just the thought process that I kind of went through and how uneducated my family was on the actual recruiting process. The internet existed obviously in 2000, but sites like, scout.com or Rivals or anything else did not exist. So, or they existed, but they were in their infancy. So really, it was just a chance to kind of get through that and talk a little bit about that and my experience, and hopefully it provides some value. My brother Timmy's going to be around, a frequent guest. He's got great perspective. He's kind of an old soul. And he's somebody I've looked up to my whole life. He's my best friend, and really just in key times in my life has given me some great advice and guidance. So he'll be around, man, and he's a funny dude with a great New York accent. Mine's gone. If I'm back in New York, it pops up again. It's kind of weird. I hope you enjoy. Please comment, share, tell people about the podcast, trying to bring as much value as I can to those families and those guys going through recruiting process, and just tell the stories of football, because football is life. Let's get it going. So I guess it all started for me, I think, in the junior year of high school, like we were talking about. I'm not sure when the whole recruiting game picked up, but like I mentioned, when other guys on the team, when they were college coaches in school looking at them, I think that is when it became an actual reality. Like, oh, shoot. There's some recruiting going on, and it could be like an actual thing for me.
Who was the biggest school that you saw with your own two eyes walk into West Babylon High School?
Wasn't there an Ohio State guy for T. Turner?
Probably, but I don't remember that.
It might have been a myth. That was a myth.
I might have been graduated too. That might have been your junior year.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. Whether it was the spring before my senior year, probably. So usually it's the spring of your junior year when everybody's busy on the road and the big schools are making their rounds. So for me, I'm trying to think of the bigger schools that actually talked to me. It was Iowa. Indiana was in the building. It's crazy that IU was in the building. I didn't even realize that.
Really?
And West Virginia and Georgia Tech were probably the 4 bigger schools that I talked to. In guidance counseling, in the counseling office, you know what I'm saying?
What, those were phone conversations, or they were actually at the school?
At the school, in person. So, and then everything else was mostly Patriot League, Georgetown. Georgetown I was pumped about. I remember that. The academics, it wasn't my game. I was decent academically, but not Georgetown level. So they kind of phased out. And then, Patriot League, I'm trying to think. It was Colgate. It was Lafayette was in there.
Lehigh
was in there. All those schools. So I was literally a Patriot League FCS kid. And also came some of that, which was back when I was a junior or senior in high school, was the Atlantic 10.
Yes.
Which was Hofstra, Richmond, JMU. None of those southern schools were around. It was more the northeast schools. So
was Fordham in that conference?
No. What was Fordham? I think Fordham was Patriot League.
I don't remember that now, actually.
Yeah, Fordham was Patriot.
I'm surprised Hofstra didn't make who was the head coach? Was it Gardy?
Yeah, Joe Gardy.
He was still there, huh?
Joe Gardy, and there was a kid, oh man, I forget his name, from Kellenberg, that it was a quarterback that they offered, and that was their guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they literally didn't offer me until they found that I had a Purdue random offer somehow.
Yeah.
So,
See, listen, that's another case of location. Kellenberg at Hofstra's backyard. I
yeah,
mean,
for
West
sure.
Babylon's, 10, 15 exits from Hofstra, but why, they had their kid in their backyard.
Yeah. I mean, when you have your guy and just go with it.
Yeah.
But so anyway, basically all those random schools of different sizes, and it got to the point where I don't know, like I was done with the process, like in the middle of it. I just didn't want
Yeah.
any more of it. I was stressed out. I was anxious. I didn't know where the hell I was going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to the point where coaches would call and I'd have mom tell them like I was somewhere else or I couldn't come to the phone or something like that. I was avoiding college coaches wanting to talk to me, and I still had nowhere to go, and I had no scholarships. So
Yeah, you were definitely in a stressed out moment, man. It's tough to vaguely remember all the details. You know what I'm saying? But I do remember, and I know you, so I know how far things can take you, and then boom, it shuts off.
right,
So,
I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. So it got through it got through the football season, and then it became official visit time. So, I forgot about UMass. So I took 3 official visits. The first one was to UMass,
Yeah.
and I think Marcel Shipp, legendary Marcel Shipp, running back, was my host.
Nice.
I don't remember much about that. I just remember it was cold, and I loved the Boston scene. Like I remember saying to Dad, like if I wasn't playing football, I would want to go to school like in that area, because I remember the one recruiting thing they gave me, or fact, was there was like 25 schools within like a 10-mile radius.
Yeah.
So it was like this college life out there. So UMass was cool, and then I went to Towson, was my second official visit.
Yeah.
And in the middle of Baltimore, and then, which was cool. And then randomly, a couple weeks go by and I find myself taking a late official visit to Purdue University out in the middle of Indiana.
Yeah,
So how that happened, I have no idea. But it randomly worked out, man.
I think that's one of the mysteries, man, is that we never solidified how they even made how they were able to make contact, with you.
Right.
Like,
So
where did they get that tape from?
yeah, to dig into that story, here's what I've pieced together throughout the years of people I've talked to. So it was clear that, and this was dumb, but I've said it in multiple episodes and things online, is that in my mind, like, I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to be at a big school, and I wanted to roll the dice and give it a shot. So, and Coach Langella, for the audience, my varsity head coach, which was legendary coach. He was like a dad to us all. We worshiped him, and I owe him tons. So, but anyway, he knew that all the schools that would come in, and he'd basically say that, like, I don't think the kid's gonna want to go to a smaller school. So, a school that was recruiting me hard was obviously Stony Brook. They were D3 at the time, though.
Most likely D3.
Yeah, so Coach Dees, he's still coaching somewhere. I don't know. He's been like on the East Coast. Anyway, he was the one recruiting me from Stony Brook. Coach Dees played defensive line at Syracuse for Gary Emanuel. So
Gotcha.
Gary Emanuel was the defensive line coach at Syracuse, but at that time, in 2000, Coach E-Man was the defensive line coach at Purdue.
Gotcha.
So one avenue was Coach Dees was like, let me give him a call and just see kind of what's going on, or just tell him about you.
Yeah.
And so that was one avenue. And I
Now,
think
wait, hold on. Did you confirm that with Coach Dees? Has that ever been confirmed?
No, just through Langella. That's
Gotcha.
it. Just through Langella, like, he told him that, and Dees supposedly called him and just put a word in, and had to share a tape or do something because I didn't have anything sent out there.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, Sal Champy, man, head coach, legendary Long Island football coach, Sal Champy from East Islip High School. So Sal Champy Coach Champy's last game in his career was my last game in my senior year. So we went down to the wire. It was a legendary game. We ended up winning. Sal Champy played offensive line at Purdue University, and I guess had some kind of connection or whatever. I can't confirm this either, but somehow they received the game film of my East Islip game against East Islip.
What a film, Matt. What a film.
That was a good day. Good game. So
good game, man.
So two people hitting Purdue at the same time, probably randomly different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From different streams, and I think somebody gave me a look. So at that time, what was I going to say? Oh, with the Sal Champy thing, remember I told you I think it was after college when we got home and we were tearing up the New York club life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Everybody in Long Island or in that area knows the club Ice. We were religiously there every weekend, and I ran into one of the guys that we played against on the East Islip football team at Ice one night, and pretty much drunk, walked up to me and knew who I was and said, "Sal Champy got you to Purdue, man." And like randomly he said that. So I believe like that was the whole story, along with the coach from Stony Brook with that connection to E-Man, who eventually recruited me from Purdue. So they called me, and this is another piece, and I think it was Coach Olson called, Greg Olson, who's the quarterback coach that coached Drew Brees in the Rose Bowl. He started recruiting me. He gave me a call and said, "Hey, this is Greg Olson from Purdue University." And I freaking thought it was a joke, dude, because of our boys, our friends from home, Rob Congista and Danny Doherty would prank me, giving me fake phone calls saying they were college coaches. I remember one day Robbie calls me and, "Kyle, how's it going, man? This is Bobby Bowden from Florida State. We want to offer you a scholarship."
That's a classic though, bro. Those
Classic.
things that never dies.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. So anyway, randomly, this has to be in December, like right before Christmas, because I'm in basketball season.
Yep, I remember
Played
that.
basketball my senior year. Olson and Emmanuel, it's maybe even after, because I think it was after the Rose Bowl. So it's in January.
It was, but it was definitely during basketball season.
Yeah, because Greg Olson.
Weren't you hurt as well?
Yeah. Somehow, randomly, like 2 days before, I get like a knee to the thigh, and I have this deep thigh bruise, and I didn't tell anybody. And I'm out there. They come to watch. I don't even know if it was a game. Yeah, it had to be a game.
I think it was a practice.
It might even be a practice, but I was freaking out there, hobbling around, getting my garbage points, whatever it was, trying to fake like I knew how to play basketball. And somehow, they like what they saw. The film worked out, and randomly, I think it was like the week before the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, I'm at a late visit sitting in Joe Tiller's office at a Big Ten university that I had no expectation of being there whatsoever. So
yeah. How'd that
meeting
develop? How'd that go in that room?
So, you show up on whatever it is, Friday night. You show up on Friday night. We had dinner, and I'm the only kid in town. So you're on an official visit. You're usually with 4, 5, 6 recruits from different areas, and it's just me. So it's me, Dad, who doesn't say a word, usually, and like 10, 11 coaches on staff. And then you got players, the hosts, and everything like that.
All catering to you?
Yeah, like that was it. It was just me.
That's
it was
cool.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. How has this happened? So, first night, my host was Andre Henderson, who ended up transferring out of Purdue, but great dude. We hung out with all those older guys. I mean, sitting here with guys that just went to the Rose Bowl, and first night was cool. And then the second night, my host was Seth Morales, the legendary Purdue wide receiver that made probably the most famous catch in Purdue history from Drew Brees to beat Ohio State, to lock in and go on to beat IU and seal the Rose Bowl victory. So everybody knows about the Seth Morales catch, and he was my host, man. Great dude. He's a CEO now, by the way. CEO of his own company in Indianapolis, balling out.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah, man. So I remember just, driving around campus. I remember driving up that hill on the east side of the stadium up there, and Dad's in the car, and we're just like driving up, and we're looking at each other like, seriously?
Yeah.
You really want me here? I'm game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was no competing with any schools. I had no offers. So then we sit in Tiller's office, Sunday morning, have that quick meeting. All I remember is that basically him telling me that they wanted to gray shirt me, which means basically I come in the fall as a walk-on, and I'll be put on scholarship January 1 or the first day of the next semester. And it took us about 10 seconds, and we said, no doubt, let's do it. Oh, one little thing I forgot to mention, they had me in the indoor facility. I don't know if it was Friday night, Saturday night.
Yeah.
I was in my jeans. Remember the Aeropostale cargo jeans?
Yeah, what were you rocking? Timberlands?
No,
bro?
the Eastlands, bro. Eastlands boot. Eastlands. They
Yeah,
had me on the turf in the indoor, the old school turf, taking 3-step drops. I don't know who I was throwing to, but Jim Chaney was out there. Tiller was out there. Olsen was out there. And I was in a sweater. I was in that blue like Echo sweater, Aeropostale cargo jeans, and Eastland boots, freaking throwing the rock out there in the indoor facility.
Bro,
Day later.
Go ahead.
No, just day later, I'm going to Purdue somehow. Dude, man, that was crazy. That is crazy to think about how that all went down.
It's really amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how it's almost like you willed it to happen in a way. You had your own way of willing that to happen.
But I think almost it was like ignorance that helped. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
I was ignorant to the process. I had no idea what I was doing. Mom, Dad had no idea what we were doing.
But you know what? In a way, everybody's patience and allowing you to do this. I mean, you could have signed the national letter of intent 3 weeks before Purdue even called you.
Well,
to go
not really.
For them.
Signing day is on February, but I could have committed somewhere or do whatever.
Yeah,
but that's the problem.
Right.
I wasn't signing any NLIs because I didn't have a freaking scholarship to sign, bro.
Yeah, true.
So, and that's I don't know what guys that are on different levels when they say on signing day, I don't know what they're signing, honestly. I don't know if it's like a admissions slip or what is that, like a dorm, like a residence freaking fee or deposit or something like that on the room deposit. So if anybody out of the audience knows what everybody's signing, if they don't technically have a scholarship, I'd like to know. Let's share that. But anyway, I think, like I said, I think the ignorance actually helped. We had no idea what we were doing, and we fell into just a great scenario. And that was it, man. It was life-changing.
That's exactly life-changing chain of events, man, that occurred. And
the butterfly effect. And here I am in Westfield, Indiana. And I've been in the state of Indiana for, who knows, over 10, 11, almost 12 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Pretty much since 2000, minus 4 years maybe.
Right. So, yeah.
But, I mean, and everything that even happened, from day one there to, I mean, I remember the drive out there the first time. I remember the first time, it really hit was when we were leaving, and it was probably after your first practice, man.
Yeah.
And you guys came running across the hill, and we were parked right there, by the dorms that sat there, right?
Right.
And I remember seeing the team coming up, and you ran right to the truck. You were in the green jersey.
The green QB jerseys.
Yeah, with the gold helmet, and I felt instantly. I was like, that was it. That was what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? And that's why the whole story was just it's awesome. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people get to experience the things that you have and the things that you've given us. You know what I mean? So
right, no doubt, man. We're lucky for sure.
Absolutely.
And I just I don't know, does that happen now? You know what I'm saying? In this day and age, and I know there's always late signees, and what happened. From supposedly what I heard was that so the other quarterback that came in that class was Kyle Orton,
Yeah.
legendary QB for Purdue, obviously. Went on to play in the league for a ton of years.
Yeah.
Great dude. But from what I thought, you had Breeze that was leaving, and I thought they had a couple other commits
Yeah.
that I don't know if they decommitted or something changed where they were now scrambling. So now you have a school that's scrambling, not sure who else to go back to, and you have those messages coming in from multiple people that say, "Hey, come check this kid out."
Yeah.
And I think it was just a storm of like all these events where all the stars align somehow.
Yeah, and plus when they see you on tape or wherever, or people see you, I think it's the arm strength too you had at that age and your physical stature. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you weren't a slouchy kid from West Babylon, man. You're 6'3", 220 pounds.
Not even close, dude.
Well, I'll give you 210.
I showed up to Purdue University weighing 198 pounds.
All right, so I give you 195, but you were still 6'3".
I probably left at 230, which is nuts. It's just automatic over there. It's factory.
Nowadays with the national rankings, the way social media has kids becoming, minor celebrities or celebrities in their own right, in their own schools, that's the difference. It's just out there for everybody.
Right.
You know what
it's
I mean?
Access. Everything. It's an equal playing field. So even when I was, coming out of high school and you had the powers that be, it's changed totally since then. Like you have, Notre Dame, that was their recruiting spiel was basically we're on national television every weekend because not every school had the chance to do that. Whereas now, I mean, at ESPN and all the different networks, they're covering every game that's possible.
Yeah.
But you had your pipelines where coaches were known recruiters in areas, and they still are, but at the same time, the kids have more access to the different schools nationally.
Yes.
So back then, it was like the coaches that are known, they have those relationships with the well-known high school coaches in the area, and they have their pick of which kids they want. And it's just different now where the playing field is evened. You know what I mean? It's kind of leveled off in the sense that, social media and I can market and capture the attention of a prospect of a kid better than you could 20 years ago. So
especially with like, all right, and then another thing is too, like with the big schools, like like LSU and Alabama and schools like that, they're getting recruits. They're so loaded that what's happening, in my opinion, is a lot of these top-tier recruits, they want to go into a program where they're going to play right away, you know what I'm saying, and have 3 full years, and it's their team. It's basically like, like a school like Kansas or, whatever. They want a top quarterback. They're going to build their program around that quarterback. And I think some kids are, saying, all right, yes, let's do that, because in a way, I guess they're thinking – the easy path to the NFL. They have tape, they have repetition. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is in the NFL. That's what it is to keep playing too. You know what I'm saying?
Film, video, yeah. But at the same time, dude, no matter who you are, if you're like you gave Kansas as an example, or some other, any school that says we're going to build this program around you. That next fall or that next season that's coming around, they're recruiting that next kid, and they're trying to recruit over the talent that's at their position. And honestly, I mean, you can't blame the school for doing that. You're trying to upgrade every single personnel, every single individual in each position and grow. So,
and you're right, and that makes your story even more rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, I think that story exists for other kids. So, and just to touch on it, how, I don't know, the message that a lot of people put out there, it's like, go where you're wanted, not where you're tolerated. Go where you could play right away. Go where you could be an impact player. You know what? That's not the truth for everybody. Like I
No,
said,
yeah.
I was a kid that had no idea what he wanted. Obviously, there wasn't a whole lot of resources out there. There wasn't a whole lot of, precedent, right? There wasn't
Yeah.
any big-time recruits that were coming out of our area. So I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know about it, but at the same time, in my mind, I just wanted to roll the dice and go as big as I could and
Yeah.
play big-time college football. So the chance to walk on or the chance to be a small fish in a big pond, I jumped at it, man. It's because I was
Absolutely.
excited to be there. So I know since I had that mentality, I know there's kids out there now that have that mentality. And there's no
Absolutely.
blanket statement as far as what you should do. You know what I'm saying? Like each
Agreed.
individual has their own truth and motivation and what they want. So I just say you got to dig into what that is and tune out all the freaking outside noise and go for it.